What is up, everybody? This is Elfinout, and this is going to be a heavily commentated run for Kung Lao. This is going to be an 80% run on the PS2 real hardware, and this will be my AGDQ 2022 80% submission video. This run is a true 80% run, so we allow any glitches basically, and the big one that we're going to take advantage of is something called infinite kicking, and this is something that we're going to have to talk about a little bit. So there's 3 different types of infinite kicking, and each one has a use. There's a slow one, which uses the power attack. There is a fast one that uses quick attack, and there is a air grab variation that uses R2. So each of these are going to play a really big role, and we're going to see it immediately out the gate. Like, this run is 0 to 100 all the way through. I will warn that during the infinite kick sections, there is a flashing screen, so if you were sensitive to that, I would close your eyes now. I'll let you know whenever we're done. But the reason that we pause so much is that we are actually looping an animation cancel that allows us to reuse abilities in the air, mainly the launch kick and the quick attack. By keeping a super tight rhythm, we're able to infinite kick and basically fly through the air. Our main goal is to get to the back of this tunnel and exit. This section of infinite kicking is done, so you can open your eyes, but we are going to go into another one pretty quickly right in this next room, so I'll let you know. For this one, we're going to take the same path as Scorpion in our other run, and we're going to dodge through the spikes and head for this back balcony. However, we're going to start kicking right here, and we're going to continue kicking up into the back of this bridge, right over this crack. So it takes a second to gain height, and then we just do that. We get on, infinite kicking is done for that section, and now we go into fatality room. We're going to be skipping fatality. We actually don't need fatality. The boss fatalities at the end are mandatory, so even without the fatality coin, we can still do them. So we're actually just going to exit this room with a really nice clip on the left side. I will do 4 infinite kicks, so close your eyes. And then I've landed, and now I'm going to try to set up for a really quick exit. There's a weird thing with this game where if you exit or if you step off of a ledge, you still count as being on the ground for a brief period of time. And so we're actually in mid-air whenever we exit that room. Here, I'm trying to grab one of these Onis and throw them into a wall. I get really unlucky with their pathing, so I just do a little backup strat, toss them into the air, and yeet them. This next room is the Oni Warlord room. Normally, we're supposed to kill the Oni Warlord with a sword, get long jump, and climb our way back up. But we're actually going to skip that entirely. So there is going to be a couple of infinite kicks right after this cutscene. We do pause there because that forces a dialogue box to spawn sooner, which lets us have a better setup for our infinite kicks. So we're going to start infinite kicking right now. We're going to have just a couple, and then we're done. So we actually have to take a weird angle there because that bridge has an invisible wall in the front, so we actually have to go around it. Here we have 2 masked guards. We can grab this one immediately, and then we grab the other one before it actually aggresses. So we get him in the air, toss him off, and then hit the portal. Spam start, and it actually ends that cutscene a little bit quicker than normal. For this next map, we have a very long infinite kick section ahead of us. It's about 1 minute and 10 seconds. It is a lot of infinite kicks. If you are sensitive, please turn away. I will let you know whenever it's done. But it is a very long section. It is an absolute finger and wrist killer. It is a lot of focus, though, so it's actually a great time for donations because I have to just keep a lot of focus on the type of rhythm. The main key is to get enough height here that the Tarkatans in the beginning don't shoot you. They'll attempt to, but if you're high enough, it'll just go under you. We're going to be kicking over several cutscene triggers and just all the way to the back right to where that door is. If the rhythm's dropped or if input is incorrect and you dive down, you do lose quite a bit of time. It takes about 20 seconds to regain that height, which when you're trying to do a super competitive time is really, really difficult to come back from. It's near impossible with the time we have now. It actually is impossible. But it doesn't immediately ruin the run. There are ways to save it and then climb back up. Infinite kicking is actually super versatile, and it's one of my favorite ways to explore the game, getting out of bounds and like going around and seeing what the game has to offer on paths less taken. And it's a super fun exploration tool. All right, that room's done. We're going to have another infinite kick section here. We are going to be bypassing several rooms. The biggest issue with this room is if Johnny doesn't correctly corral the Tarkatans. Tarkatans are jerks. They absolutely just make the day worse, and that's especially true with Kung Lao because we spend a lot of time in the air. If the Tarkatans walk up, we have to get them off of us, which loses time. But basically, we're just trying to undermap right here against this wall and kick to the end. So we get really lucky, get a nice kick, and we are on our way. So this is where the third variation of the trick comes in. It's an actual air grab variation. This is really good for getting through slopes and putting you back above ground. Normally, it takes very strict circumstances to actually be put back above ground, but air grabs and slopes are one of the easiest ways to accomplish it, which is nice because it lines up well right there. For this map, we do have a couple more infinite kicks. We're going to be jumping over a spike pit and hitting the portal to exit this area. You'll also see that I am sliding a lot. Since we don't have long jump, our best form of movement is slide walking. Sliding is a running quick attack, and it gives a massive burst of movement in the beginning and slides you along the ground. That momentum can be kept with a jump and repeated to basically just stay as fast as possible. It's a wonderful movement tool. We're out of that room, and now we're on to Portal 1. So Portal 1's the major hub of the area that has portals to different major areas of the game. We're going to bypass the 3 that you're supposed to do and actually go directly into Portal 2. So this is a good time for donations. It's mainly just keeping really tight lines and trying to get to the blue portal without targeting too many enemies. And then Portal 2 has 3 portals, one to Wasteland, one to Netherrealm, and then one to the ending area of the game, the Foundry. That's the one we're going to be tackling. Normally, we have to get 5 medallions to open a tournament door to open up the path. You'll see it at the end of the way there. But instead, we're just going to undermap to the right of it and kick to the portal in the back. Now, this wall can be really tricky. Undermaps in general can be really tricky. The map, honestly, can kind of just decide whether or not you get under that day. And so, there is a little bit of variance in how many attempts it takes to get under, especially on real hardware. But normally you can just reset up, get a different angle, and then just really focus on the timing and get under in a few tries. I usually try to give myself at least 5 tries before really trying to reinvent the strategy on the spot. Luckily, we can kick all the way to the end here, and then we dive kick into the portal. So Foundry is the last area of the game. The main key here is to break those 2 crystals on the load screen. That room that those 2 are in are actually locked by a gate, which is going to be the first thing that we unlock. So we have 2 tester mites. The first one is going to be in this right tunnel, and it's guarded by 2 Onis. Sometimes they can be pretty rough. They're tackle happy. They're actually, they aggro a lot sooner than you think. But here we just spam. You can see that it says X, but it actually accepts X, square, triangle, and circle. So spamming all 4 makes test your mites super easy. With that one done, we're going to head up. We have a little cutscene here. Everyone say hi to Jax's cutscene. Now everyone say bye to Jax's cutscene. It's the only way we know he even exists. And then we're going to go down this room. So we wait for this ball to lift up, and then we have a test your mite at the end. This opens the other half of the crystal room chamber, basically. And now we have to go get something that breaks those crystals. So we have to go get a diamond axe. Normally, there's several rooms that we have to traverse through to build pieces of the axe, get it moving from room to room. You kind of smelt it, craft it, and then you go collect a diamond axe as your prize. Well, we're going to bypass 90% of those rooms because it turns out the axe is already done in the end. We just have to get to it. First things first, we have to line up on the left side of this room. Most of the floor is covered in lava, like right below the surface. So if we undermap, we actually get burned back on top. Instead, we're going to undermap pointing at the door, kick back to the back of the map on top of a pipe that extends pretty far. We're going to get running speed, jump, and get up to an exit. This puts us into the last room. Luckily, we don't have to unlock the door from the other side for the exit to be open in this room. So we can get out easy. We have one more tester mite to actually get the axe. Once again, just going to spam all 4 buttons here. And then now we wait. There will be no more infinite kicking for the rest of the game, luckily. The infinite kick section to get to this room is the last one. It's all combat from here on out. So now that we have an axe, specifically the diamond axe, we have to backtrack and go break those crystals. That way we can get to Shao Kahn's arena, which is the actual final area of the game. So we're going to jump down, and we're going to exit. Thankfully, due to how the enemies spawn here, all we really have to worry about is just running straight. They won't actually have time to attack us by the time we get up and around this ledge. Now, after we break these 2 crystals, there are going to be several enemies that spawn. Demon archers, the electric ones, and Onis. And we have to take them out as quickly as possible. The key is to kill them in the air if you can. The game doesn't actually care when the enemies die. It cares when the enemies despawn. So killing them in the air gives you an instant despawn, which is the fastest way to actually progress through rooms that require enemies being killed. So I'm going to try to just repeat air combos and kill as many of them in the air as possible. And now we are on to Shao Kahn's arena. So the thing with real hardware is, other than just load times being longer, the big issue is if you're playing Kung Lao, you have to save quit the game before going into boss rush. If you don't, you will crash the game on the Shao Kahn fight. It will not load. I don't know why it happens. I don't know if anyone knows why it happens. We just know that if you play Kung Lao and you play through the game, you have to save quit at least once. So this is where we do that. We have one cutscene, and then we go immediately to the left, and we save the game. We do not have to do this on emulator. I don't know why we don't have to do it on emulator. And we don't have to do this on any other character in the run. We can, Scorpion is able to play through the game without save quitting. Sub-Zero and Liu Kang are able to play through the game. It is only Kung Lao that has to save quit, to my knowledge. And that's wild. But thankfully, it's, just a minute and a half. It's not too terrible. But once we load back in, we're going to get to one of the more fun parts of the run, which is boss rush. Now, casually, boss rush is pretty much unanimously hated. And I understand why. You have 3 back-to-back very hard boss fights with very little health replenishment throughout the fights. And if you die at any point, you reset back to the first boss. Not whichever boss you died on, but to the first boss. So it is a massive endurance battle unless you know the cheese strats. And thankfully, we have cheese strats. So without further ado, let's get on to boss rush. So our first one is going to be Shang Tsung. Now, the most important thing with Shang Tsung is getting what we call Morphless. Throughout the fight, Shang Tsung will morph into different characters. It goes Sub-Zero, Johnny Cage, Reptile. Every time he morphs, it loses 3.5 seconds. 3 seconds, 3.5 seconds. We want to teleport here, that way it confuses his AI, so he doesn't morph immediately. We want to slide kick him into this corner over here and start doing ground pounds. Now, ground pounds don't increment the combo breaker, so we can infinitely loop this as long as we don't mess up inputs. They are quite precise inputs though, so sometimes it is a little bit difficult to keep a perfect fight, like there. So we don't get Morphless, but we do get a 2-lock fight basically, so it doesn't lose too much time. But Shang Tsung is pretty easy. Pretty much solved. Next up, we have Kintaro. Now, Kintaro has one of two starting patterns. He can either walk towards you, or he can shoot a fireball. We would like to walk towards us. Fireball is just really annoying. That's basically it. It can sometimes hit you even if you try to dodge it, and it's a time loss. The main thing with Kintaro is we want to get as up close and personal and loop two special launches into a quick attack. If we can loop that back to back, we can usually keep Kintaro locked for a full stamina. And then it's just getting back into that phase. We want to use power attacks to get up close and personal, and then keep looping it. The reason why is because if you can loop those abilities, for some reason you get basically pseudo iframes. I do lose the aggro pattern here a little bit, and he starts getting the hits off, but overall it's not too bad. This strategy kills Kintaro super fast to where hits aren't as detrimental as they used to be. And with Kintaro down, we get to go to Shao Kahn. Now, Shao Kahn is the most brutal fight in this run because he can start with one of three patterns. He can either walk towards us, he can taunt, or he can charge. Walking towards us is the best option. However, that in of itself has one of two consequences. He can either fully stagger, or he can half stagger, get iframes, and then kick me across the arena. There is a way to fully lock Shao Kahn. It takes a loop of 3 jabs into a power attack and then intermittent hat throws. It is the only way to lock Shao Kahn that I know of as Kung Lao. Unfortunately, he does get one of the kicks off, but thankfully we set the loop up right after. So Shao Kahn is now fully stunned, and we're going to walk him around this arena for Phase 1. Phase 2 is incredibly difficult, especially as Kung Lao. Kung Lao does not have a lot of tools to deal with Phase 2 Shao Kahn. We have 13 seconds until he starts spinning his hammer, and we have to deal as much damage while being safe. Basically, it's go as hard as possible and hope for the best. There's really no other way to say it for Kung Lao. Sometimes Shao Kahn really cooperates, sometimes he doesn't. You can always definitely kill him, it's just how fast. Like, there should never be a threat of dying, but it's just sometimes he can be really cooperative. We get a 2-cycle fight, unfortunately. I do flirt with danger a little bit, entertainment value, but we do get him and put him away for an awesome 80% run. I hope y'all enjoyed.